Alright, it should be an Amendum video on the Amendum channel. Yay! It just should be a short video, just an update, and just for because there's people who apparently don't know that I'm making videos still on the website and on the channel in Mendum Videos. Yeah, so you have to explain this stuff. So, I've been continuing to make the what the fucks and whatnot, and, they're all very good videos and blah, 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 blah. So I will leave links below to the Inbendum Videos channel, or, you can go to donotgod.com. Now, I always had it written in all the videos, so, people should know I have the website, and I've been putting the videos there also. So that's all I can do. You can't follow along. Can't follow along. Having to do this is just some sort of, why am I doing it? Because if people can't figure this out, then they're not going to figure anything out. That could matter ever, probably. So anyway, yeah. See, the website does have the advantage, does have the MP3 files, so you can just click on that.
Hey, welcome to another edition of
listen to the videos, which is kind of nice also. So it does have some added value. Anyway, so it's my comments. I didn't read them yet, so I can't trust them. Anyway, so what did I want to do? Okay, so I got an email from somebody who wants to debate me, blah, blah, blah. And they start off with some silly is-ought-gap crap again. And you're just like, this isn't that complicated. So I wrote a simple reply, explaining, making the simple argument that where's the gap? It's an invented idea, this is-ought-gap crap. That somehow we can't establish anything to be true, and therefore, especially anything that has a value component, there's somehow no way to say, you can say, this has a certain mass, and you can put it on a scale and prove it and all that kind of stuff, but somehow we're not allowed to say that a certain sensation is bad, that a certain experience is bad in and of itself. Like it has gravity or mass as a sensation. Like value can be weighed just like you can weigh mass. And the scale just happens to be consciousness. I'm conscious. I'm sampling feelings. I certainly am able to put them on scales and measure them. It's not hard to do at all. Now, I could say something outrageous like, slowly driving a nail in my eye is so much fun. I really love it to death. And somebody could say, oh, I think you're lying. I think you're full of shit. Let me see you do it. So, we can argue it. We can have some sort of like when somebody says that, oh, finding Christ is the most beautiful feeling in the universe. You can say, yeah, well, prove it, shithead. That's just talk. It don't mean anything. So you can mock some notions of what people claim to be true. But the fact is if I argue that there are real horrible circumstances that happen to conscious organisms and they go through an experience that I know to be bad, because if I had to do it, I certainly know it would be bad, and there's no doubt about how bad it would be and how horrible it would be. We can all understand, having your body parts slowly pulled out of their sockets and shit. We all can figure out that we don't want to do that. We ought not to. Yeah, it's not a good thing. So anyway, so I said pain is bad, right? Now that's just a fact. And it's a fact, see, I have personally tested it, right? So I personally weighed it. And I found it to have this negative antiparticle, whatever, however you want to think about it. It's the opposite of something good or something that should happen. So the things that shouldn't happen are the same things as things that ought not to happen. So there's really no gap. Pain bad, ought not to happen. Ideally, no good can come of it. It's a bad thing. Don't let it happen if you can avoid it. If it isn't the price of the ticket, then don't pay it. Don't buy nothing with it. If you're going to pay it, make sure you're getting something worth something, because pain is worth something in terms of its negative value. Its existence in the universe is intrinsically negative. I've experienced it. I know. I'm testifying to my experience. There's nothing about my testimony that's inherently subjective or wrong or incorrect or inappropriate or any of that crap. It's a perfectly consistent with what 99.9% of all the other talking, language-capable, sentient organisms will say to you. Yes, I do not want to have a nail in my eye. It ought not to happen. All right. Well, anyway, bad things cause a value degrade. So that's, should have left that as a sentence, I suppose. That they have value weight. So we know that these bad things, these things we defined as bad, are only bad because we understand that somewhere a consciousness will have to endure something bad, unpleasant. Things that don't cause unpleasantness we don't call bad. It's just the truth. They have to be things that cause unpleasantness. Now, religious kooks have a whole different definition of good and bad. But for anybody rational, bad things are when people are tortured or harmed or experience negative, unpleasant psychological, physiological sensation. Not that complicated. And ought to be minimized. So there's no gap, right? Once you've established that there are some bad things, and they're intrinsically bad. Like, again, sensation is not a subjective opinion. It's very much the statement. Okay? When your body says it, it says it loud and clear. The whole point of it is to say negative. The point isn't I'm going to interpret it. There's no interpreting. Okay? It is overtly negative. The difference between the whip and the carrot is obvious in its implication and what it's going to cause the organism in terms of a sensation. It's intrinsic. All right. There is no gap problem. So that's my counter argument to the is-ought gap. Where? There's no gap problem. Establish a rational is that makes a value statement, and there's no problem at all. The value difference between sensations is intrinsic and apparent, proven, to anything capable of sampling them. So that's the key point, right? Now, if we were computers and we didn't know what a sensation was, well, you could say a computer could have an is-ought gap, okay? Because it can't, somebody could say, pain is bad, and it would say, says you. You have a real problem because it never sampled it, okay? And pain, I just replace whatever your nightmare is. Having a rat, eat a hole through your eardrum and bore through your head or something, whatever your little thing is. It ought not to happen, So this is a silly statement. This silly concern that we've committed some reasoning error in assuming that there's value intrinsic in the universe. And I would argue that as soon as a consciousness existed in the universe now has value in it. Without a consciousness to torture, okay, to harm, to cause sensation to, there is no value in the universe. So if the universe was just rain and clouds and all this inert stuff that didn't have a brain capable of manifesting consciousness, then you could say, okay, let's just be, who cares? Because it doesn't matter. This nihilist crap is just fine because there's no consequence. You win, you lose, up, down, nothing, it matters. Because there's nothing at jeopardy. But we obviously know that when there's sentient organism involved, it matters. As soon as I put one rabbit in a jar hurling through space, If there's nothing else in the universe, that rabbit is it. Its value. And its welfare does matter because it's a feeling organism and it can have a good day or a bad day. And the difference between a good day and a bad day is intrinsic. It's not an opinion. Okay? It's based entirely on what it feels. Whether it is tortured or whether it is comforted. Those two things speak overtly to the statement. They answer the is question. And they provide you every logical conclusion to the ought. So anyway, this is so stupid. So then I asked, do you have a reasonable counter argument? And what did he do? He says, my argument's not an argument. He said, this isn't an argument. I haven't somehow completely explained why there's no is-ought gap. Because when there's value that is intrinsic, it's not a matter of subjective opinion. It's not, this isn't a debatable subject. I'm personally experiencing, so unless you want to tell me what I feel and tell me that you know better what my feelings mean, fuck you. There's no conversation. You're going to tell me my feelings don't matter? I've somehow misinterpreted the nail in my eye and it's actually a really fun and good thing to have happen? Fuck you. You're crazy. You're way too stupid. So this isn't at all a problem. And so all of this ethical battle is just about the fact that in balance, there's a bunch of feeling organisms. We don't live in isolation. We live in a world covered with other feeling creatures. And whatever we choose to do will implicate them as well as us. The future is a really big place. The present is a little small place. Those are the arguments that compel us to have a morality or an ethics that recognizes the need for us to maximize our efficiency, to do the right thing. And the right thing, what ought to be done, is to maximize the amount of pleasure and minimize the amount of pain. And I might say the real argument is first do no harm, which means don't even bother playing with this nonsense. It's not a game you can win, so don't play it. It's stupid. You're just creating the vulnerability to the catastrophic result that negates all positive value. One kid dying of cancer ruins all of the proms and ruins all of the Super Bowl victories and all that crap. All I have to do is create one catastrophic victim, and all of it means nothing. Because a rational person would say, I wouldn't cause that for, an evening watching moronic football and eating potato chips. No, don't kill anybody. Don't give anybody cancer. Don't paralyze any children. It's really not worth it. And the fact is, most everything we're doing isn't worth it. So anyway. So, what an obnoxious asshole. He'll instruct me on the philosophical elements of this nonsense. I don't need your instruction, because some douchebag 150 years ago pretended that nihilism was some kind of rational philosophy, and they didn't want to accept any notions that value could possibly exist. It's not my problem. I'm not a retard. And clearly, the event of consciousness on Earth makes it important. If tomorrow we find out there is a brain-enabled organism on some other planet, why wouldn't people be concerned for its welfare? If we found out they were starving and they were terribly blighted by something we could cure with our penicillin, we don't think we could figure out that we ought to do something to help the suffering aliens? Of course we could figure it out. Especially if they were cute, like kittens. But anyway, this is just so fucking stupid. So anyway, I just told him to go. I said, fuck you. That's what I said. What an idiot. Debate the facts that there is value intrinsic in the universe. So these idiots, these fucking nihilist kooks, don't think that value can be derived from an intrinsic quality of consciousness. They think that it has to come from something else, or it could come from something else. What else could it possibly come from? It can only happen once there's something that can feel. Nothing else can have any value. No physical, material thing except a sensitive consciousness can have value. It's just a truth. But its value is obvious. So just because there's one thing that does and everything else doesn't, I mean, the chalk doesn't have a welfare, the battery doesn't have a welfare. None of the other things I could pick up here have any welfare interest. I can't torture them. I can't hurt them. I can't do any of that. So it's irrelevant. And throwing this chalk can only mean something if there's a fact involved, or a probability that if I throw it this way, okay, it feeds people. And if I throw it that way, it starves them. Or more importantly, it cures cancer if I throw it this way, and it causes cancer if I throw it that way. Then I can know there's value connected to my decision. But it can only have value because of its impact on sentient organisms. Period. That's it. Yes, it's the only thing that happens to have value in the universe, and you're trying to pretend it doesn't exist. And that's really stupid. Alright, so enough of a statement. So, until the usual video, and again, I shouldn't even say it again. I'm not going to say it again. But anyway, yeah. Till the next time, and such. Yeah, that's enough. Busy. Yeah, what else? Nothing else. Nothing else to say, I don't think. There's nothing else to report on. Yeah. No. This planet is stupid fucks. So, till the next time, such.